The PlayStation 2 is the most popular console of all time, and it has some really rare and expensive games on it, some of which are nearing $1,000. And one of those you're going to see in this video. Hey guys, I'm RNG Gamer. I play all my games randomly, and this is part 3 of my PlayStation 2 collection. So let's dive right in. First up is one of my favorite things in my PlayStation 2 collection. It's not really expensive, but it's really cool. It's the Resident Evil The Essentials Collection. And this has Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil Outbreak, and Resident Evil 4 in it. I think this is really neat. I like collector's boxes like this that hold multiple games. I try to go out of my way to get them. If you've seen my other videos, there are like several of them I picked up recently. And this is a great one to have in the collection. I love it. And of course, no Resident Evil collection would be complete without the most popular game in the series, Resident Evil Dead Aim. And this is like the pseudo-sequel to the terrible Resident Evil Survivor. I picked this up at the Southeast Game Exchange a few years ago. I paid, obviously, $40 for it. I have not played it, but Resident Evil is probably my favorite series of all time. So, really looking forward to diving into it. And I'm looking forward to diving into this as well. I picked it up at the same time. It's Resident Evil Outbreak, File Number 2. I guess this is the sequel to Resident Evil Outbreak, which is a spin-off of the series. I've never played either of the Outbreak games, so really looking forward to that one. I love how Capcom is so serious, but also so super silly about Resident Evil. I just find that to be fascinating. It's a really cool franchise that just goes in so many weird directions, and like while it is a scary survival horror game, you end up playing as like Tofu and running around with a rocket launcher with unlimited ammo. It can be really fun and lighthearted while also being serious. And I think that they really kind of nail that. Even when their games like jump the shark super hard. I did play this. It's just the board game on disc. I paid $1.99 for it at a thrift store. It's Risk Global Domination. There's the price tag, $1.99. Do you like the board game Risk? Do you want to play by yourself against AI opponents that will just absolutely destroy you? Dive into this. It's fine. It's just Risk. My complaint is when the other players take their turn, you have to sit there and just watch it. So you're only playing like 1/4 of the time, which is annoying. If you're gonna play Risk, probably just play it with some friends. But if you're addicted to it and you gotta play it every day, I mean, this is an okay way to play it. I've never played any game in this series. I don't remember where I picked this up. It's Romance of the Three Kingdoms X, or 10, whatever. These are like strategy games. They've been around since the NES era, and I've never played any of them, like I said. I don't know that I'm even really looking forward to playing it, but I'm going to. It's in the backlog. When it gets picked for me, I'll play it. This is another one of those RPGs you used to see all the time on the PlayStation 2 that was pretty inexpensive, but like I don't see it much anymore. It's Rogue Galaxy, and it says here on the back, set sail on a space pirate adventure. That sounds great. I mean, I love space, I love pirates, and I really love space pirates. But I don't think this is supposed to be fantastic. I think it's just supposed to be kind of like okay for an RPG. There are a lot of okay RPGs. It's hard to devote a lot of time to an RPG that's just quote unquote okay when there's so many fantastic ones that are demanding my time. Well, it's wallet buster time again. This is one of the holy grails on the system. It's the most well-known holy grail on the system. Even though it's not the most expensive, a lot of people think it's the most expensive, even though Kuon exists, and we showed that in the last video. But here it is, the other one everybody wants to see. It's Rule of Rose. And not only have I played Rule of Rose, I played it and I reviewed it on this channel. And if you want to just see the review for just only this game, you can see that on my other channel, RNG Gaming, where there's just a Rule of Rose review where I edit it out of my larger review series that I do on this channel. Rule of Rose is a strange game. It was banned in a lot of countries for depicting violence against children and also some like underage lesbianism or something like that. The underage lesbianism thing is not true. It's just like little girls like hug and maybe kiss each other on the cheek and stuff. I've seen like, my daughter will do that. She hugs and kisses her friends on the cheek. She's 9. I wouldn't say it's lesbianism, so I don't know what's going on there. But it does have some pretty, not graphic, but like disturbing images of the kids just basically like being mean and torturing. Not torturing, but torturing in a psychological sense, as kids are wont to do with each other. It's not a great game. It's kind of challenging to play. The mechanics are strange. The graphics are great. The setting's interesting. It has a lot of good things going for it. It has a lot of bad things. It's unlike anything I've ever played. So it's one of those like games I would say is not really great. It's good. It's a good game, but like everyone kind of needs to play it. There's nothing like Rule of Rose. And there's kind of a reason it commands like a $700, maybe more now, price tag. Of all the games in my collection, it's the one that when people walk into the game room, they look at it and they want to know about it. So I burned a gold star to jump it to the back of my backlog, jump it to the front of my backlog, and I played it. It's a strange game. It's definitely a strange game. An interesting conversation piece though. This belonged to my wife's brother. I haven't played it. It's Rune. What is it? Viking Warlord? It looks like a medieval fantasy or Viking hack and slash game. I don't know anything about it. The cover isn't very great though. It does not make you want to play it. I don't know if this game's a first-person shooter, a third-person shooter, a tactical RPG, a survival horror game, a space exploration game. I thought it had a cool cover and it was $10, but it's run like hell. And this came out on everything. I think this was out on the original Xbox. The back of it looks okay. And for $10, man, I can't say no to that. $10 is like nothing. Like when you buy like Rule of Rose, I mean, I didn't spend $700 on Rule of Rose. I paid like $220 or something like that for it, which at the time was the most expensive game I'd ever bought. When you're buying stuff like that, like $10, like just toss it on the pile, you know? People think this game is rare. It is not. Up until about 8 years ago, you could walk into any GameStop and they just had like stacks of these piled in their drawers. And it was $20. I picked it up. They've re-released this on the PS4, I think. But it's Sakura Wars, So Long My Love. And this is I guess it's an anime or a manga series or something like that. But this is a visual novel with like some mech tactical battles mixed in it. But it's mostly visual novel. I struggle with visual novels, guys. They're not one of my favorite genres. A lot of times I feel like they're really long-winded and it just goes on and nothing's ever said. And then they're like 40 hours long when really they should be like 10 hours long. This is kind of one of those games. I put, I think, about 20 hours into it and I felt like I was just getting started. So I just gave up on it. I just stopped and I did not buy the re-release. I don't plan on diving back into that one. Although I am glad I grabbed it for $20. It does have a really cool cover. This is another like Grand Theft Auto clone. I thought this was a really good game as well. I played through most of it, although I did not finish it, but it's Scarface. The world is yours. You play as Tony from Scarface and you run around a town trying to get revenge and causing havoc. It takes place like right after the end of the Scarface movie. So you know how that movie ends. It's very memorable, but let's just say it retcons that ending and then Tony has to climb back to the top. Okay, here's another import. This is a really cool one. Sega in Japan decided to re-release and remake a bunch of their classic games and put them out on the PlayStation 2 on this thing called the Sega Ages Collections. They made like a bajillion of them. Anyway, I've always wanted to own Gunstar Heroes on the Genesis, but was never able to find it. Anyway, I picked this up, and it's the Gunstar Heroes Collection. They call it 2,500 because I think it was 2,500 yen, which is like $25. But this has Gunstar Heroes from the Genesis, but it also has Alien Soldier, which I think was a Japanese and PAL-only release, and Dynamite Headdy. So it's a compilation of 3 games done by Treasure. It's still kind of pricey. I think I paid about 60 or 70 bucks for it, but I'm happy to have it. And I haven't played through any of those games. I haven't played Gunstar Heroes really, I haven't played Alien Soldier really, and I haven't played Dynamite Headdy. I think I played them on the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. I played them each one of them a little bit. All right, this is an RPG series. I'm really excited about this. It's like a horror RPG. I can't wait to dive into it. It's Shadow Hearts. And the back of this just looks so freaking cool. I know it has some neat, like almost timing mechanics similar to Super Mario RPG, but like in a horror setting. Anyway, I think Shadow Hearts is actually the sequel to a PlayStation 1 game called Kudelka, maybe? I have it. It's like a $300 game. Whatever the case, I haven't played it either. And of course, I have the sequel, Shadow Hearts Covenant. It's supposed to be more of the same. And then the third game in the series, Shadow Hearts from the New World. The Shadow Hearts games and Kudelka look really intriguing to me. And I'm really, really looking forward to playing those. Those are like gold star games. Like I might have to spend a gold star, which I earned from beating a bunch of other games, to skip them to the front of my backlog. And this is just like a generic RPG from Sega. I haven't played this. It's Shining Tears. The back of it looks like a tactical RPG, but I'm not sure. I can't quite tell. You can never really tell with these RPGs what they're going to be like till you dive into them. But I think that was in a collection I picked up from a guy or something like that, and that's how I ended up with it. I didn't go out of my way to find it. Next up, we have a very, very beloved franchise from Atlas. It's the Shin Megami Tensei series, and there's a ton of games in it. First up is Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner. It has a subtitle, Raido Kazonha versus the Soulless Army. You could get this for 20 bucks forever, and now it's like a $100 game. But I think it's more just Shin Megami Tensei stuff. I haven't played this one. Here's the second one, Devil Summoner 2, Raido Kazoha versus King Abaddon. Okay, never played any of the Devil Summoner games. I'm really looking forward to those. I say about every game. I say that in every video too. I am excited. I only pick up games I want to play usually unless they just happen to fall into my lap. But I really love all the Shin Megami Tensei series stuff I've played. So I am looking forward to these. I went into this one in a recent video about how I got the box that I've been looking for this forever, but it's the deluxe box set of Digital Devil Saga, which is another spinoff in the Shin Megami Tensei series. And this has Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2, and my copy of 2 is sealed. Anyway, I won't take it out. You just have to take my word for it. Haven't played those either. Looking forward to them, of course. Looking forward to it. I'm always looking forward to it. This one I played 80% of the way through and then stopped for whatever reason. I did pick up the PS4 remaster of it, and it's back in the backlog. I'm going to play it there. But it's Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, which is Shin Megami Tensei 3, I believe. Very dark game. Interesting. I enjoyed it, but not as much as the next couple games I'm going to talk about. So Shin Megami Tensei is a really cool series. It's similar to Pokemon where you're collecting things to do your bidding and fight for you, but instead of being cute little monsters, they're like these crazy spirits, and I like that. I think that's a lot cooler to me than Pokemon, and the stories are usually pretty good and dark, and I like that. Shin Megami Tensei has a spin-off, and it's really the most famous thing in the Shin Megami Tensei series, and it's Persona. And here we have Persona 3. This is FES. This is the second release of Persona 3 that has all the extra features in it. I did not play this, but I played Persona 3 on the PSP and the Persona 3 Portable Collection release. I got like 85% of the way through it. And they just started to take pre-orders for that at limited run games. So you can buy the PlayStation Portable release of that game for the Switch and the PS4 and I guess the Xbox. I'm passing on that because they're remastering the game. They're coming out with a new version and they're gonna call it Persona 3 Reloaded. And so that's what I'm gonna play. This one I've played twice. I played it here, but I finished it on the Vita under Persona 4 Golden. And it's Persona 4. One of the best covers on the PlayStation 2. I love the bright orange of it. Persona 4 is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. I go back between it and Persona 5 over which one's my favorite. I think Persona 5 was a better game, but I liked the characters in Persona 4 better. Fantastic story, just absolutely incredible. If you have not played it, you gotta jump in and play it. And here's another series that I have fallen in love with. I played only the first one, and I streamed it on this channel live, and we beat it. And it was Silent Hill. And this is the next one in the series. It's Silent Hill 2. And I know everybody loves this. I wish I could play it right now, but I have to wait. I don't break my rules. Everything's played randomly, unless I use a gold star. Then, of course, Silent Hill 3. Go right along with it. I said, never played it. These are all getting really expensive. And I know there are some new Silent Hill games coming out from Konami. Silent Hill 4, The Room. This one looks the scariest, but I know it's not considered to be the best by far. This one's a little bit of a wallet buster. I think I paid $100 for this. Silent Hill Origins. At this point, they stopped numbering them and they just kind of like gave them names, and it's hard to keep straight which one's which. Excited about that one too. And this one I picked up at the last Southeast Game Exchange. I think I paid $40 for it, and it came in a protective case. People have told me since that this game's terrible and it's got awful controls, but we'll find out. It's Siren. And I think there's a sequel to this as well. Anyway, it doesn't look spectacular from the back, I have to say that. But survival horror on the PlayStation 2, how can you go wrong? I've never been a huge fan of this series. I have played a few of them, and I did play this one. I thought it was okay. It's probably more fun if you got to play online back in the day. But I didn't. I just played it like single player. It's so calm. U.S. Navy SEALs. This is a kind of a strategy third-person shooter. I don't really like strategy shooters like Rainbow Six and stuff like that. I don't like having to tell my squad mates what to do. And like allowing them to execute. I just want to like be me and run and shoot. Like having to plan your attack and stuff, that's not that interesting to me. And this game's kind of like that. I played this one. I don't think it's as good as the second one in the series, but it's still fun. It's a fighting game. They take a lot of time to get into, and I usually spend a few hours with them, and I'm like, either like I'm done, or like I'm gonna spend a bunch of time getting good at this game. This is one of those I played a little bit and I was done. It's Soulcalibur 3. I don't remember what's special about this one or how it's any different than Soulcalibur 1 or 2. I think it has some more characters, but it's Soulcalibur. This one I played and I thought it was pretty fun. It's a jet ski racing game that's supposed to be really zany and over the top, and I guess it kind of was. It's Splashdown, Rides Gone Wild. And like, you ride your jet ski through like prehistoric areas with dinosaurs and things like that. You're basically like in an amusement park. I thought it was okay. I spent an afternoon with it and I like played through all the different tracks and then I was kind of done. I didn't want to put a bunch of time into it. There weren't very many unlockables. I feel like it's probably better as a multiplayer game. Now this is a series I've never gotten into. I never really liked it. I know people love it, but I didn't grow up with it and I wasn't a kid when it originally came out. I was like a teenager. I felt like I was a little too old for it. And I did play the first game in the series with my daughter and neither one of us liked it. She was like 7 at the time. So it's Spyro something something something. Spyro Enter the Dragonflies. Is this the one we played? I can't even remember. Spyro is a 3D platforming collectathon, which I don't like. It has flying in it. I'm just like, I'm done with 3D platforming collectathons. They were never my favorite. I keep waiting on a game that's going to change my opinion, and I've played a few of them that are really great. Like A Hat in Time was really great. Rayman 2 was really great, but like it didn't change my opinion of the games because like 75% of the ones I play I just don't like, and then 25% I love. So I don't know. I keep trying them out, hoping I'm going to find the one that's like it makes it my new favorite genre, but it hasn't happened yet. Another Spyro game, A Hero's Tale, T-A-I-L. Cool pun, guys. It took a team of people to figure that one out. More of the same, I think. A lot of people love this game, Metal Jesus especially, and I picked them all up under his recommendation, and I finally played this one, and I have to say, I agree with him. I think this is one of the best snowboarding games ever made. It's SSX Tricky. And I had a great time with this. Tons of zany characters, tons of zany slopes to go down, tracks I guess you would call them. It was a lot of fun and I'm looking forward to playing SSX 3. It's supposed to be more of the same, haven't gotten to this one yet, but it looks great as well. And of course, SSX on Tour. I do think a lot of people kind of debate whether SSX Tricky or SSX 3 are the best one. I don't know. I'll have to decide that for myself after I play both of them. But I do know that a lot of people think the series kind of like trailed off here in the more recent games. This is an RPG series that a lot of people really like. I tried to get into this one and just couldn't do it. I really tried with this one. I played it back in the day and I played it again. It's Star Ocean Till the End of Time. I'll show you the back. There's like not really anything on it. It's just... But yeah, I've just never really gotten into the Star Ocean games. There's a really, really good one that's going to change my mind. Let me know. Up next, we have a game that I would not say is very good, but it does something unique I've never seen any other game do. And it's Starsky and Hutch. And this is a racing game. Not really racing. It's a driving game. But it's the only game I've seen where you can use like a light gun and a steering wheel and you steer and drive and like shoot at the screen at the same time, which is really cool. I wish my PS2 driving wheel still worked so I could play it again. But if you know of any other games where you can do that, let me know, because as far as I know, this is like it. Everybody told me this game was unbelievably wonderful and it was the greatest thing ever, so I picked it up and I played it, and I didn't think it was as good as the first one. It's Star Wars Battlefront 2. You run around as characters from Star Wars and you shoot each other, and that's fine. It's pretty epic, and there's some big like open environments and things like that, but I think the online play is why people have such fond memories of it. This is a tactical RPG from Atlas. I picked this up because it's still kind of cheap and it's flying under the radar of a lot of people, but it's Stella Deus, the Atlas logo there. I love the art on the front of this. It looks really cool. I tend to like Atlas RPGs a lot, so we'll dive into this one when it gets picked for me. This is another game that's kind of rendered obsolete by like a later version that came out on the PS4. It's the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, and this has basically different versions of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3, whatever the case. Mine is like water damaged. I found it at a yard sale or something like that, and I think it was like sitting in the grass, the wet grass, which is why this happened, which is a bummer, but I'm not going to be playing that one. I'll be playing the one on the PS4. I don't think I was ever able to get through the tutorial of this, just like everybody else. I just couldn't do it. It's Stuntman. I bought this from my local Blockbuster. It's in a rental case. They would like seal it up. I couldn't beat the tutorial, man. There's one of the maneuvers it makes you do. I couldn't pull it off. I know so many people had that same experience and just never could do it. I bought this, like I said, from Blockbuster, and then I sold it to my buddy who wanted to buy all my PlayStation 2 stuff, and then like 10 years later when he moved across the country, he gave me all his old video game stuff, and this was in there. He kept it this whole time. So this is my same copy. All right, beloved series, RPG series, people love it, I love it. Suikoden 1 and 2 are some of the best games on the PlayStation 1. You can take your save game from Suikoden 1 and 2 and import it onto the PlayStation 2 for Suikoden 3, which I did. I have to say though, I don't think Suikoden 3 is anywhere nearly as good as Suikoden 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 1. You play as these 3 different characters here, you jump around between their different stories, and then at the end of the game they all kind of come together, but like it's very cursory and not that big of a deal when it happens to me. I thought it was just okay. It was kind of a grind to get through, to tell you the truth. And that's how far I am into Suikoden. I haven't played any of the other ones, so I've not played Suikoden 4, although I have it, and I am looking forward to it. Although I am a little leery about it because people say that this is the worst one in the series. And I was like, if it's worse than 3, like, whew. This one's kind of a wallet buster. It's considered to be one of the better ones in the series, Suikoden 5. And you have to get through Suikoden 4 before you can get to this one. Thrilled to play this one eventually. I picked this one up at Best Buy on clearance for 10 bucks. It's still sealed. I haven't opened it since I picked it up. It has a ton of arcade games on it. It's Taito Legends. And there are several on here I really want to play when it comes out. When it gets picked for me to play. I think it's kind of pricey sealed. I think I'm gonna have to like find somebody to like trade me out of the sealed copy for an open copy. I've also not played this one, looking forward to it, but it's Taito Legends 2, and I paid $5 for it from a pawn shop. Has a lot of really cool games on it, including Darius Gaiden, Dungeon Magic. These are great. They're just some of the best compilations. I really like the Taito compilations. Haven't played this one yet, but people have recommended it to me. It's Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. And this looks to be kind of like a Ninja Gaiden sort of game. Excited to play this one. It's a stealth game, right? A stealth assassination game. Here's the sequel, Tenchu Fatal Shadows. Looks like more of the same, but you could play as a girl this time. That's exciting. I'd always rather play as the girl. Tetris Worlds? I've never played this. I don't know what the deal is with this. It's everything you love about Tetris and more with beautiful 3D graphics. It's 6 variations. There's a zillion Tetris games, man. I have like all these games on the Genesis and stuff, the strike games where you fly around as a helicopter and like shoot stuff. I don't like having to manage my ammo in those games. Thunderstrike Operation Phoenix. It's a flying combat game. These can be hit or miss. We'll find out. It's in the backlog somewhere, although I didn't know it. This is a really fun PlayStation 2 game, and I actually opened this copy when I bought it. It was sealed, and I cracked it open years ago. It's more fun multiplayer, though. I will say that, but it is still fun single player. And it's Time Splitters. This was cheap forever, and now it started getting kind of expensive. But it says on the back, the fastest first-person shooter ever made for a gaming console. I don't know about that. It might have been at the time. But Time Splitters is a lot of fun. This game, though, is not. And I like this series, and I wanted to love this game, but it has some of the worst controls I've ever seen. And it took me like hours just to get through the tutorial because I couldn't figure out what to do because the controls are so counterintuitive. You have to like hold down buttons to grab and like let go of the button to release, and you're like holding down the X and the circle button while holding the left trigger and the right bumper. Like, it was annoying. Anyway, this game got destroyed by the critics and almost killed the franchise. But it's Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, and this is considered to be terrible by almost everybody. And it was almost a tie-in with the Tomb Raider movie that came out with Angelina Jolie. It says in theaters. Ooh, this is really bad. It's a really bad game. It's way worse than you'd ever imagine. I have a bunch of games in this series. I've never really gotten into them, although I have played several of them and finished several of them. I can't remember which one's which. They all just blend together. But it's Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. I think because it's like another one of these like strategic third-person or first-person shooters. I don't like the strategy part of it. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six 3, more of the same stuff. This one was a little bit better. I think this is the one I finished. This is a third-person stealth game, but it's Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. And I did enjoy this one okay. And then Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. None of these I went out of my way to get. All of them just sort of fell into my lap. I just found them when I was out and about, or I bought like a bunch of games at a yard sale or something and they were included. I just kept them. Now this is going to shock you, but I've never played a single game in this franchise. Not at all. Not one. I just picked up the remaster for the PlayStation 4 of the first 2 games. It's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and this is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. I know these are like the preeminent skateboarding games. I just never played them. I just never did it. But I'm really looking forward to it. I picked this up at the Southeast Game Exchange. It was $5. I've never seen it before. I guess it's a common game. It's just eluded me all these years. But it's the Triggerman, or just Triggerman. Looks like it's kind of like in that Max Payne sort of view, and which is the third-person view. It's in the third-person view. That's not exclusive to Max Payne. But this game is apparently supposed to be terrible. It's done by Crave Entertainment, and I've noticed that most of the games they've put out have not done very well with the critics. So a friend of mine messaged me. He was at a game store or somewhere and they had this, and I think they wanted $60 for it. It's kind of an unknown, somewhat heavy hitter. When they bought it, they got it for $1, but of course I had to pay the full amount. It's Sugai Atonement, and this is one you never hear about, hardly ever. I don't know anything about it. I think it might be is it a survival horror game or is it just an action game? It's Atlas. But you can see here where it was marked as $1. I might have to switch out that case. But this is one you never hear about, you never think about. I've never seen it anywhere else. When he asked me if I wanted it, I didn't even know of it. I had to like look it up, and I was like, yeah, man. I bid at it, even though I knew nothing about it. So I bought it blindly based on the fact that it was kind of obscure and expensive, which is a bad thing to do. Played a few games in this series. They've been hit or miss. I don't know if I played this one or not. It might be in the backlog. I may have played it. I did not beat it though if I did play it. It's Turo Evolution. I do like the cover of this. And this was a rental version. This is a previously played version from Blockbuster Video. And it's in those like heavy duty cases. I actually really like the rental cases because they're so durable. They're supposed to be. They didn't want them to break. Played this one, I finished it. I thought it was a lot of fun, although the series kind of like tires itself out in my opinion really quickly. This is the best one though, and it's Twisted Metal Black. I enjoyed this even more than the one that came out on the PlayStation 3. The back of the cover is so dark though, I doubt you can even see anything on it. It looks better on the camera than it does in real life. It's a combat arena driving game where you drive around as these crazy characters in these crazy vehicles, try to blow each other up, and the last person alive gets their like wish granted, and then everybody else is dead. Have not played this. I'm pretty much sure I know I'm not gonna like it. I'm guessing it's gonna be a 3D platformer collectathon, but it's Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. I think I picked this up because my daughter wanted it. We were at like a yard sale and saw it, and she's like, I want that game, and I was like, all right, how much is it? $2? Okay. This is definitely one that's better with other people. I don't know if I played this one or if I played 3 or if I played it on the PC, but I played several of these games in the series, but it's Unreal Tournament. I think maybe I played this on the Dreamcast, but all the Unreal Tournament games just kind of like blend together in my mind. They are fast, Twitch-based arena shooters and much more suited to PC than they are like PlayStation or the Xbox. I just realized I'm zoomed way out. Let's zoom back in. There we go. That's our original view, I think. We're almost done. Going into the V's. This is a fun one by Capcom. I believe Platinum Games, or one of the creators of Platinum Games, developed this. It was fun. It was a nice side-scrolling beat-em-up, and it had a really cool art style, but I don't think I finished it for some reason. I think it was in that batch of, or that time period where I was just like buying games like crazy and not playing them very much. But it's Beautiful Joe, and Clover Studios put this out, which I think is what existed before Platinum Games. Anyway, very cool game. This is another one that I owned that I sold to my friend and then he gave back to me when he moved across the country 10 years later. But it's Warhammer 40k Fire Warrior. And this is a first-person shooter where you play as a Tau soldier. I don't know a ton about Warhammer 40k, but I am somewhat versed on the lore. And I did play the game when I was younger, some, but it was before the Tau was an army. Anyway, I don't remember this being great, but I remember it being okay. It is back in the backlog. I want to play it again. This is another hidden gem on the system that everybody keeps telling me to play. It's in the backlog and I've had it forever. Another gift from my buddy. This one was not mine originally, but it's The Warriors. And this is based off the, I guess, late 70s cult classic movie, which I saw once on TV many years ago, and it was like super edited for TV. So it's missing all the really cool, gory zaniness. Anyway, everybody says this is great. It's done by Rockstar, so maybe it's like good. Maybe it's actually good. We'll have to see. I love this series. I mentioned it earlier. I think it's great. It's We Love Katamari. Now, I don't think this cover is nearly as good as Katamari Damacy with the cow and the giant ball, but still pretty cool. I have played a little bit of this one, but I don't think I finished it. It's in the backlog to play. all the way through, and I'll beat it because I love Katamari so much. Okay, I bought a collection from a guy, and he was really into RPGs, and he had all the games in this series, I think. Here are the ones on the PlayStation 2. I have not played any of them except for the first one, which I rented back when it came out on the PlayStation 1. I spent a weekend with it and really liked it, but I never went back to it. I have them all. They're all in the backlog. We'll play through them. It may take me 40 years, but we'll do it. It's Wild Arms 3, and this is like almost like a Wild West RPG, which is cool. I like that this one apparently has a female protagonist. Wild Arms 4, this one looks more space themed, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just because it has like a dark cover on it or something like that. Wild Arms Alter Code F. Man, a treasured classic returns in an all-new RPG saga. All right, well, there we go. Very cool. And then, of course, the freaking 10th anniversary edition of Wild Arms 5 in this really cool, like, foil cover. And it's not the 10th anniversary of Wild Arms 5, it's the 10th anniversary of Wild Arms 1. So they're putting these out every other year. So 10 years to put out 5 Wild Arms games. There may even be some like spin-offs, I don't know. But that's all of them. Looking forward to those. I like Western stuff, and there's not enough Western video games. Another one that used to be mine that my friend bought and then gave back to me, Wipeout Fusion. I have played this one. I played it a ton when it first came out, and then I have played it again in recent years. It's fun. Wipeout is just like a hover bike racing game, and it's really fast. It reminds me of like F-Zero, maybe not quite that fast, but it is hard to steer, and it is a challenging game, and it has some like combat mechanics to it where you can shoot, like collect weapons like in Mario Party, but you can permanently destroy your enemies. And that was the way I always liked to play. It was just like eradicating all the competition rather than trying to like maneuver through the course. Anyway, Wipeout's fun, but it is challenging. I love this series, and I've said this before, but I think this is the series or multiplayer series where I'm the best at it. Not like in the world, but like all the games I've played, this is the one I'm the best at. And I'll wreck face in 2D Worms. Like, I have played a ton of that game, but I've never played Worms 3D. I don't know what this is going to be like. Was this an online game? It doesn't look like it was an online game. So I guess you're just playing against bots. It says immersive single-player campaigns. It says fantastic multiplayer options. So I guess maybe it's fun playing against people couch co-op or something like that. I'll give it a shot. But I don't think the Worms as a character are very appealing. I think the gameplay is really fun for the 2D stuff, but I don't want to see the Worms in 3D. All right, we're down to the last 3 games. I played this in college. I made it really far into the first game, and my PlayStation 2 died. I had to go buy another one later, but I never went back to the game. I was probably like 40 hours into it or something, but it's back in the backlog, and it's Zena Saga, and it has the subtitle, Der Wille Zermacht. It's very German. Anyway, this is kind of like tangentially related to the Xenogears and Xenoblade Chronicles. In a way, I think. Maybe someone tried to like tell me that. I don't know if it's true. And of course, you have to have the second one in the series, Zena Saga 2. And then the heavy hitter, co-written by Richard Strauss. So this is a deep cut joke here. Zena Saga Episode 3, and it's also Sprach Zarathustra. If anybody gets that joke, is that too deep a cut? Richard Strauss composed also Sprach Zarathustra, which is the theme from 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was that joke. It's a bad joke, sorry. Well, all right, guys, it took 3 freaking videos, but we did it. We finished off my PlayStation 2 collection. I know it's been a long time since I've done one of these big collection videos. Sorry, they just take a long time. It took me over 3.5 hours to film all this. And I don't know how many hours it's gonna take to edit it, but we'll find out. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you like me and you wanna see more of me, consider hitting that subscribe button. There's new videos every single Saturday. Also, leave a comment. I answer like every one of them. And like the video, that really helps in the YouTube algorithm. And I'd like to take this moment to especially thank the channel members. You can see their names on the screen now, as long as the Patreon supporters. If you'd like to get your name on the screen, or sponsor a segment of a video, or leave a message in the video, you can do so by going down to the description and becoming a channel member, or going over to Patreon and becoming a member there. It's the same thing. But once again, guys, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's fun to do these videos, but my feet are killing me from standing here this whole time, and having to do the football game in the middle of all this really wore me out. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time.